Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina, bringing another daily dose. I wanted to ask you a question. When was the last time that you filled your bucket? You might be saying, what bucket? I don't even know where my bucket is. That's where I was at a few years ago. I had no idea the importance of making sure that I filled my bucket first so that I could adequately pour into other people. I thought that I was doing a good thing by sacrificing and working hard and doing all the things to care for my ministry and care for my family, all at the expense of my own health, my own well-being, and it led me down a path of deep, deep despair, depression, and even wanting to end my life. And it took a long time for God to, well, it didn't take a long time for God. It took me a long time to recognize what God was trying to show me. Sometimes we are disobedient. Sometimes we're stubborn. That was probably more my situation. Kind of like the Israelites. I think they had an 11-day journey to go through the wilderness, and it took 40 years because of their murmuring, complaining, disobedience, and not actually seeing the miracles right in front of them that God was literally dropping out of the sky. Like, we don't have those kind of miracles today, where food is being dropped out of the sky. We live in a world that is so filled with miracles that we're so complacent and numb to them, and so we don't even recognize what God is trying to do. So anyway, that is where I was at years ago, and I was running a very large youth ministry. We already had 4 children, and and then God blessed us with Gracie. She's our special needs child, and it was just one thing on top of the other. And if you have not taken care of yourself and one thing on top of the other starts adding up, it will crush you under its weight. And I didn't know how to get out from under that. All I thought was do more, be better, try harder, sacrifice more, sacrifice my sleep so that I can get everything done, sacrifice my own health because I don't have time to take care of myself or exercise or eat healthy. And by doing that, it caused years of damage to my body, years of damage to my hormones, years of damage to my well-being that has taken a long time for me to try to get that back in order. And I'm still getting it back in order. And I do understand that, God is in control of everything. He's in control of our healing and all of that. But there are consequences in the natural that happen when we don't take care of ourselves. So this is a message that's super important to me, and I want to make sure that I share this with you. Any mom out there that is trying to burn the candle at both ends. I've just shared a few videos on that, and you're running out of wick, okay? It's time for you to slow down. I know you think you don't have the time to slow down, but you do. You have no choice but to do that if you want to adequately do what God has called you to do. So yes, I do think there's people out there that can do everything, but at what expense? Are you losing your identity? Are you losing your peace and joy? Are you snapping at your kids? Is your marriage struggling? Are your finances struggling? Is your health struggling? Because if you're trying to do it all without filling your bucket up first, there's going to be something that's missing. Okay? And first and foremost, the thing that God called us to is to Him. He called us to a relationship with Him first. If that is being sacrificed because we're so busy, we get up and we rush through our days, we rush through everything that has to be done, we start to care for our families at the expense of our relationship with Him, that's going to affect every single area of your life. And it's not that God punishes us or condemns us or shames us, okay? He very patiently waits for us. But He can't, I would say that he doesn't come in and we're not puppets on a string. He doesn't come in and start doing all these things that He wants us to do. He gives us the free will to come to Him. Okay? And so that's, I was in a place where I was trying to do everything for Him, but then I realized I wasn't actually being adequate at taking care of my family, and I definitely was not taking care of myself. In the scripture, it says that God is closest to those who are brokenhearted, and He saves those that are crushed in spirit. That's where I was at, and I had to realize that it was because I wasn't taking care of myself. That was why I was crushed in spirit. It was because I wasn't doing the things to fill myself up first. I thought I was being selfish by doing that, but it's not selfishness. There's a difference. People misunderstand sacrifice and selfishness. They think that I'm sacrificing all this for God. I'm sacrificing this so that I can be a good mom or a wife at the expense of your own self. God never asked us, not once is it biblical for us to give up ourselves to not take care of our own temples so that we can give to other people. The Bible talks about very, very frequently Jesus would get away. He would get away from the disciples, away from the ministry, and take time alone with the Father. Take time alone to be with his Heavenly Father, to get refreshed, to get his thoughts together, to pray, and and to recompose himself so he could do the job that God had called him out to do and to build up the kingdom. So when it comes to our role as moms or wives, and we think that we don't have time for ourselves, it's actually the opposite. We can't afford not to take time for ourselves. So this is something that I will probably share more of. This is just kind of a little brief, Dina's daily dose on this, because it was just, on my mind this morning as I was getting ready. But this is something that needs to be unpacked more in depth. But I just wanted to kind of leave you with today that you have to take the time to take care of yourself first. That's the most important thing, to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. It is not selfish. It's mandatory if you want to be able to do, especially this job as a special needs mom, or if you're a mom or a wife in an extreme situation. You can't afford not to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your sleep and your physical body with fitness and nutrition. And that's something that I still struggle with. Whatever health issues are going on in my body and the hormonal issues that I have, I try really hard to eat healthy, but it doesn't always seem to be working. There's some damage there that I'm trying to undo. Some gut issues, that were from chronic levels of high stress and high cortisol and then high insulin, and then that stores as fat. All of that we try to work out. But I'm on that journey now, and I've been on that journey for a few years now, and I'm not giving up. But at least I know now that I'm making this a priority. So I'm asking you to do the same. I'm challenging you to do the same. If you feel weary, if you feel heavy burdened, if you feel like I just don't have time for myself, stop and pause and realize that if you don't take time for yourself, you are going to burn out. You are going to get depressed. You are going to get in despair, and we know where that leads. Whenever we get into despair and you're in that place, you can't hear from God. You're not in the same frequency. So you want to do whatever it takes. And again, this journey, you're going to hear from me that it is your responsibility to do the work to get yourself out of that. No one's coming for you. No one's going to throw you a life preserver. God will bring people into your life to guide you, but ultimately, you got to put in the work. The first step is self-awareness that you even have a problem, that you need to slow down long enough to see what the issue is, and then start to take care of yourself. And so anyway, this is just really what I wanted to leave with you this morning, is that if your bucket is empty, you can't pour into other people. You cannot serve out of an empty bucket. You're running on fumes, and that is a very dangerous place physically, but spiritually, because you leave yourself open and vulnerable to attack from the enemy. When you are depleted and you are weary and you are weak is exactly when the enemy attacks. So how do you build up your strength? One step at a time. Okay, start by, putting yourself back into the presence of God, even if it's for 5 minutes, alone in the bathroom while your kids are doing whatever they're doing. It's taking that time to recognize what is in me that is not working. What is in me that is just not representing who I want to be or what God has created me to be. You just start doing a self-evaluation. So there's lots of steps that you can do to start to get on that path, which I will share on this channel and all the different ways that I, create content through my writing and speaking and all of that. But I'm just saying, start small. Start with the step of, there is something wrong and I have to acknowledge it. So many times we just want to be numb to that. We realize that there's something going on, but we kind of just hide behind it and pretend it's not there until it eventually takes you over. And I was in that spot for a lot of years. And I hurt a lot of people with my words and my controlling ways, and a lot of times people control because they're trying to avoid pain. Most of the time that's what it is. There's a fear underneath that. There's a self-loathing underneath that. There is just a self-condemnation under that. So anyway, I am going to leave you now with that and just ask that you just start the work to find out what's going on and to start putting yourself first. So not only does the creator of the universe love you, I love you, and I can't wait for us to come back again. Have an awesome day.